right. Give me just a second here. Well, I suppose we're just going to be a little bit washed out. Damn it, Daniel says 4 minutes late. Yes, but you know what, Daniel? There is coffee, and otherwise there would have been no coffee. How are you this morning, sir? This is the greatest mug in all of my state. Look at this beautiful glazed dookie brown embossed with an oak leaf. Okay? Look at this glazing. One doesn't simply just find a mug so ugly. Such container. If something ever happened to this mug, it would ruin a day. At least a whole day. Let's see what we can accomplish here. Ooh, 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Professional maneuver here, if you're ready. Tea strainer. I present a tea strainer. Eliminates these little floaty guys. Well, good morning. I was a couple minutes late because I need to make this coffee happen. But I think we're going to get into it now. All right. So last night I started making another base. We might wrap up a few moments early and actually record the process of getting that together. The picture I took of the other one was kind of weak. That's right, tactical. Little coffee. Hope everybody's having a good day. I don't know what exactly I want to get into today. I was pretty happy with the process we were making on this. I mean, I suppose it's freehand, this little bit of design here. Let's have a better look. I did move the camera. So we started drawing in these little teeth here, and I'm thinking we could really take this to the next level by shaping them in just a little bit and then possibly beginning to freehand in the design, like the little bit of like threading almost. But I don't know if that'll throw off the whole piece or not. I'm trying to fix this. This one right here. Index Regalia. How are you today, Index? Check that one up. To get the camera to be this depth of field and still show the model without it being super dark, I have just the brightest light I own right here. Threading gold colors, I think it'll work. I was commenting about gold the other morning. I'm nervous. Tactical, you think true metallic gold or like a non-metallic? Just a yellow. I'm gonna come back in with the darker tone, and we'll just reshape this little blob I jacked up. I think that goes a long way. I think this one on top is now the weakest of them all. Well, tactical, what's the worst case scenario? I have to paint over it a little bit, maybe. I just forgot what color I had on my brush. I thought it was still that darker brown and went on the wrong side there. Again, that's the worst case scenario, right? It's not like we've got all of our colors refined and a bunch of freehand and all that. And again, what's the worst case? It's like you got to do it again. You can't ruin them. I suppose you can, but we're not going to do that. Having Daniel watch me and knowing how good of a drawing person he is and sketcher of things, this is probably awfully cringy, but we all have our skills. Daniel happens to have forsaken one of his. I say in jest, sir. Judge away. Yeah, there you go. I think it's starting to make a nice little design. For the gold tactical, do you think this border I made above would be a good thing to thread into? I don't know if I have the good gold on my desk. I've given it a cursory look. I don't see it. Have a good copper. That's probably way too red. What to do? When you can't find the good gold, what do you do? I wonder what the answer is. Well, we're gonna hold off for now because I don't think it makes a lot of sense to paint it with a tone that I don't like. And we'll think on it. I think it's a great idea, tactical. It's one I had previously, and let's just try to clean up this shoulder pad, and I think we'll be able to tie that whole concept into other parts of the model as well. You know, we've started to fill in these black tones, and we're gonna get the trim together now, and we've already got the robes. Once he gets his face on and the skulls on his backpack, I'm certain we'll be able to finalize what that last tone will be, that last color, and maybe I'll just make my decisions on the gold at that time. I know it's a good idea because it fits the color scheme, but I don't know exactly what it should be, you know. What color should his little chest piece be? Should that also be red? Should be red bird. I need more water than that. There we go. Just rough this in here. It's like a bit of a placeholder. I know it's not great, but I gotta get in here and do all these blends for the black anyhow. That's gonna be stressful enough around the white robe. But let's see. Just gonna throw a little base color on this sword here. Oh, Clam Wolf, good morning. How are you now? Hopefully the work day yesterday wasn't as bad as you were thinking it could have been. Clem says going to try and listen at work. Well, I hope in some way we can help pass the the morning time a little bit for you. Here we go with the sword. Tidy these up. I think it might just be time to, in general, start on the black again. Here I'm just mixing in, this is Privateer Press Coal Black. I'm mixing it into an actual black, but the Coal Black's got like a lot of, like a blue-green to it. It's a really cool color. And so the Coal Black is actually what we're highlighted with here. So as we work our way down the model, I'm just going to apply a little bit of this into our highlights. It'll be a little bit rough right now. Mind while we throw this little guy. You know, having the camera this tight helps me realize exactly how many times I've been washing my hands with terribly aggressive cleaning agents, and I think it's just going to be the way things are for a while. Get our next darkest tone, which is closer to actual black. We'll start to block that in here along the edges and towards the back of the whatever shape we're working with. So in this case, these cylindrical greaves. Let's see if we can come in and get a tighter look at this. So we got a little bit up in here we got to get a hold of. Drummers have souls. Well, I bet they do. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome on in. And how are you today? Let's see how close to this robe we can get with this bad brush. I think this arm might be a better example of what we're talking about. We're just going to lace in, there we go, this black down there. Drummers Have Souls says, doing good. Well, I'm doing all right myself. And we're just working on this fallen angel here. Take a little bit of this coal black here from the top of our mix. And we're just going to start working it in here very crudely. There we go. and where they meet, we'll just agitate the brush, pulling downwards because that's where it'll meet the black. I have a little mixture here on the palette of the two, and where we didn't possibly have enough of one color, we'll start to meet them together. We'll do the same thing on this back side, except this kind of combination color will be our highlight color because we're on the back of the model now. We'll grab something closer to black again, coat our way back. Yeah, but yeah, drummers, are you yourself a painter? What brings you in today? We need a little bit of white to this mix, so let me get a little something here. We're just pulling in more of this coal black mixture. Just progressively getting darker and darker. Kind of like this tone that I have worked up right here. So I think we'll leave it there. Drummer says, I'm a pencil paper artist and make beats in my free time. Just always had curiosity about painting, so decided to see what it's about. Well, and you picked us. Yeah, painting's fun, and the subject matter's pretty sweet too. Since you're a newcomer, I will show you what we tend to work on in here. Here's this is a 40K white scar. They wear white armor. He happens to have a bird. This is just some basic material on his bottom. You see this here. He's going to get affixed to that very shortly. It turns out it helps if you bring some of the dirt and mud up onto the model. It adds that aspect of life. So yeah, we've got him coming together. It's looking pretty cool. Get those interesting blends going. We paint some busts on occasion. Don't mind this lady. There she is. I do a lot of smooth blending in here. We also try to work here. We practice non-metallic metal, where you take, flat paints and try and make them look shiny at a distance. And I think that's all I really have on my desk today to show off. The rest of it's kind of in limbo as I'm setting up new equipment and whatnot. Oop, we don't want to zoom in like that. Well, maybe we did. Let's bring it back in. Bringing it back in. Okay. Drummer says that's awesome. I was going to stay and watch a while. Well, cool. We're glad to have you. Let's just find that focal point. So we're going to be working on, I'm going to start from this knee and kind of go down to the boot. So I'm going to be holding them kind of awkwardly. But we're going to try to establish a highlight along this line here. And keep it thin, and then we'll fade back into that black. But it also means we're going to be working on this boot, the tip of it. And hopefully, given enough time and effort, we'll get him to read as black armor. So let's hold steady here in a way that I'm hopeful it'll pick up on the camera. I know black's one of those colors that's kind of awkward to see. And we're just taking these colors in sequence as we have them mixed up. Obviously up here on this edge, we would be likely the brightest. And I know I'm not working with my brightest tone, but we'll start with it anyhow. This nice, like, mid-toned highlight. You can always build them up. The more professional you are, the more bold you can kind of be. Pascal Rosa, hello. A professional like that gentleman right there would be far more bold with his highlights. More contrast, says Pascal. He didn't know he was thinking it, but he probably was. Yeah, right now we're just... more contrast, yes. So, when you have a professional watch you, you get bold. Oh, Black Armor, you are so difficult. Because I am not confident in my ability to work with the colors, I try to keep them wet enough that I can sort of work back and forth on my wet blends. And in that way, as long as the paints stay active, I don't feel trapped. We can continue to work those little layers and bolden them up. Pascal says, I've painted so many Dark Angels models, so I instantly love this work already. Well, thank you, Pascal. Not a fan of the Black Armor either, even though I do have my sisters and such. With such, there you go. Started crudely laying in some freehand here. Isn't that nice? Tail end. In truth, it was a pooling issue on a wash I used. So that's how you fix it. I think the better you get at painting, the more actually good you are at controlling the chaos. All right, let's see how that edge looks. All right, I think we just need to adjust the weight a bit from here. Like perhaps it should be wider near this corner, thin out, and then widen out at the bottom again. Maybe that'll help. Let's see. Maybe it'll look poorly. That's what we're doing in here. We're learning. Tactical says, Mom came out to get a midnight stack while you have you on the TV, so I kind of introduced you to her. She's amazed at what you can do. Oh, well. Mama Tactical, thank you so much. I hope she's having a good evening. For those that are learning to paint and whatnot, you know, we're going into our third year of this adventure, and one thing I'll tell you, just get comfortable with being able to paint over things multiple times, because I get ideas in my head like this, and I think, oh, this will look pretty cool, and then I do it, and sometimes yes, sometimes you're like, that's what we wanted, but sometimes you think, what were we doing here? You just paint over it, a little paint on it. There are very few exceptions to that rule. We've established a nice little fade there. One that looks smooth and is recognizable. And that's the hard part. Like, how do you get something that'll read at a distance as something and still look smooth? Pascal would say it's all about the spheres, but I'm going to say it's all about the blends. I don't know about you, Pascal, but I know you work some rich, creamy blends. Have you noticed that people don't like to put in the time? They just want to slap a little white line on it crudely because it creates an illusion. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Heartbreak. Is it time? But I feel like we only just started this journey. You're going to split? No, just put it together. It's not... Let's not fear. Pascal says all just paint. Actually, it's all about squinting through your eyes and not have a lot of drinks. It makes it all better. There it is. Tagdo says Mama's got Oreos. There you go. I noticed that with some people. Yeah, they don't want to put in the work. And it's not like it pays off. It is hard, and it's a lot of failure. Like, working a blend is just a process of just disappointment. But eventually, you get a result, and it's possibly what you wanted it to be. And also, in pursuit of the good blend, it seems to me that you learn along the way to be a better painter. Pascal says, whenever I do teachings, there's always this point where I have to say, you cannot get a better result with less work, less time, less effort. You know, to that point, Pascal, I have found, oh no, this might be terminal. We're going to have to clean this brush. Don't worry, I will use this to my... If anybody wants to pour a little out for the brush, I think we might be done soon. Excuse me. Danny M says, I like this hooded guy. Thank you, Danny. Get this guy posted up here. Says the mag looks very pale. It is not that I'm that pale. It is that this light is just so darn bright to get the model to show up with a little bit of depth of field. I will get something put up here. I think when I put my arm up, you can see that it kind of gets fixed. Whoop. I didn't even spill any coffee, so it's looking up. Yeah, the newer camera is super sharp, but Oh, thank you for that host, Danny. But it's hard to get things to show up brightly with any depth of field. You need a lot of light. So, let me see here. Pascal says, "What? This is hardcore. Keep on painting with that split brush. That's what we're gonna do. I'm not scared. Okay. I'm gonna try to rinse it out a little bit, a little bit more. Try not to believe." Pascal says that's why I'm not a fan of things like contrast paints. You know, Pascal, here's my thing. I feel like contrast paints could be a very useful tool. I think the properties that the paints have, and I only own, there's a yellow one. I'm drawing a blank on its name right now. Anyway, I own one of the yellow ones and the medium just to play around with, and I played around with very, very little. But I feel like you can do some very, very interesting things with them. My problem is there's a boatload of stigma attached to them, and they cost so much. It's like, I can just glaze back some paint, you know? Like if you want to increase the surface tension, you use a little isopropyl alcohol. It's not complicated. We'll just do the thing. I read an article by somebody who knew what they were talking about. We know how to do this. It's all good. But yeah, to previous points, people don't like to do blends because they're hard work. People don't like to do the work. Klamov says, this man over here talking about controlling chaos, I smell ultra heresy. Brother, get the heavy flamer. That is a good point, Clan Wolf. I am a bit of a heretic. It is known. It's known, my heresy. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to get, because I am not as technically proficient as I would like to be, I'm going to just glaze back some of this. We'll use my thumb as an example. So you can see what kind of consistency we're dealing with here. And I'm going to take just a little bit. You see our transitionary piece here? Just gonna glaze over that, smooth it all over, smooth it. That's right. Allergies are killing me. Well, they're trying to kill me, but I will survive. Pascal says, can you not try to fiddle with the camera settings? So it is actually the fiddling that's caused the need for the brightness. So when you deal with a we'll use Sorcha as an example. Snick is a camera person and actually confirmed a bit of what I was reading the other night. For Bias hopping, it says, good morning, Nomadic. How are things? Hello to all of chat. Well, for Bias, good day. So, Pascal, let's just click back here a second, because Sorcha, she's a big girl. When you look at something in focus, there's an amount of it that will remain. So let's grab this Nuln Oil, for example. So Sorcha's pretty in focus here, and we're going to grab the Nuln Oil in front of her, right? You can see we're in front of the model, and there we're touching her. So the Nuln Oil is still kind of readable. And I'm just going to come to the side here, keep the same depth, and we're going to start to move back towards her. And you can see as it comes into focus, we'll move over so not as shiny. And then we hit focus, and then we'll start to fade out of focus. And the ability to widen the amount of time it takes before things lose focus or bokeh out is the f-stop. So the larger that number, the better. The more expensive the camera lens, the more thin that line can become. That's how you get like the dog's snoot that's in focus, but it blurs out before it hits somebody's eye. I hope that's a good example. But the wider you make it, the larger the area that is in focus, the less light it allows into the lens. So the brighter you need it to be. And so step one, I'm going to be a little pale, but we're going to get the miniatures to look correct. The next thing we're gonna do is get like a black piece of like paper and put it around this side of the lens, and they call it, I think the technical term is like barn dooring. If you think about the old like Nosferatu movies where they got the, like, it's all black and white and you've got just a light hitting like one eye and it's like starkly black. Think about anything Roman Laplace has ever painted. He barn doors his lighting often, like he'll shoot colors up and like fade to black immediately. So we're going to effectively shoot the light in that way towards the miniature and let me be my pasty self, but not like, you can't hit a pale person with this much light and have it go well. That's all I'm saying. Mind while I get my glorious badger on here. That is all an extended way of saying, yes, Pascal, we have indeed fiddled with the settings. But the priority was this subject matter and not this subject matter. At least not initially. Where were we? We were using this fork-tongue brush, this betrayer. Clamwolf, if you're out there, this is the real heretic. A forked brush. Great analysis of Roman Laplace's work. I don't know if it's an analysis so much as an acknowledgement to the man, the borderline myth, the definite legend that is Roman Laplace. Also, is there a man in this hobby that is more revered than him? I don't know one. I mean, show me, if you could. Alright, let's get in here. Let's see some blends. Let's see how weak we can make them. We kind of fiddled around with his hand a while back, but let's see what we can't do to his elbow. I'd love to take a class with just so many people. Brogami hopping in says, I learned something today. What did you learn today, Brogami? And was it from me? Possibly not. I'll try to set you up if it's not. Alright, got a little bit of wet paint here. Now we're going to get bold with that contrast. Bob Ross style, wet on wet. Even more of this bright tone. Camera lenses and lighting. There you go. Brogami, I actually, this has been some time ago now, but one of the first things that came up in Jex's stream when I first started checking out what he had going on was he's fiddling with his camera, and I was like, no, dude, your camera's good. We just got to get you some better lighting. He's like, I'm all ears. And I was able to, you know, get a ballin' on a budget solution in there. I've seen the man's paint racks. I know what those cost. Can't be having nice paint racks and good lighting. I'm out here with good lighting and paint strewn about. Don't worry about it. This desk is a disaster. Pascal hops in and says, don't want to be a wise guy, but it is Laplace. No, Laplat. Did I say Lapat? Oh, Pascal. No, fix it. Fix it for me. I tend to just repeat things and never see them written. So I'm repeating somebody doesn't know how to pronounce it, hit the man's name. And I'm not trying to say his name incorrectly as a way to, you know, I'm trying to be respectful here. So thank you. That's not wise at all. Like, as an American, I read Pascal's last name as like Rose and not like Ruiz. How many different ways do we mispronounce your name? And had I not wandered into a Monkeys with Fire stream and chatted with you, would I have ever known? Most say booze. Boozy? Pascal, it's just all that ASMR you're into. It's all right. Actually, I don't know what you're into. I'm just saying it to be funny. Here we're just darkening the center of this little shape. Trying to in some way insist the highlights are brighter towards the edges. This would probably benefit greatly from not using a hair take of a brush like this, but there we are. With an R, obviously, yes. Ruzy. Look at you. Look at you. Oh. Pascal, what are we doing with this brush? Raphael, you betray me. Sorry about that, everybody. Size 2 Winsor & Newton. You up to bat. Pascal says, get in now. I knew it was going to start. You get a vibe for these things. I'll boil it later and we'll see what happens. I don't know if you ever do that, Pascal. Have you ever hit your brush with a hot water? See if we can't push this highlight. For Bias says I'm researching better lighting for my work area. Okay, well, if you have any questions for Bias, I know a little bit about the subject, and I've learned quite a bit here in the last. Oh, look at that! Look at how bad that was. It was so much paint. Just so much paint. Dang. Dang. Let's see if we can not do that again. See, that's objectively much better. Get a nice camera, they said. Let everybody see your wonky lines. That'll be a party. Pascal says, what do we got here? Cut it off the stream and use it as an eraser. There it is. Pascal says, I have tried to revive some brushes with expensive soaps and various chemicals and stuff, but meh, it's too much work for a short span of extra time. So buy brushes, half a dozen or so, and just chuck them away when they start failing. So one thing I've noticed is that it's all because paint gets up in here. And if you put it in nearly boiling water, like up to, say, before the crimping area, like up to here, it'll boil out the paint. Not boil out, but like, you feel me. Try to erase back this highlight, but my palette is clearly a bit too dry. On account of somebody left the lid off for 2 days. It was me. All right. Let's see what we can't accomplish here. working these colors back and forth until I can find in some way the shape I'm after. I think we've done it here. We've just got to agitate these colors a little bit and get them to blend. Blend out a little. Pascal says that's where the dried paint starts to split the hairs, and it's hard to get it cleaned out of there. That's true. Just rinse it a lot after a couple of strokes is the best way, but truthfully, I often load my brush way too much. I know this. I don't care. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I am not scared to, like, when I'm using my wet palette, we're all over the place over here. All right. Let's see if we can't find a next brighter tone here. Might just be too early for creamy blends. Ooh, I think we did it. I think we finally found it. Alright, let's see on this soft plastic if I can't. Get this little edge highlighted here. How am I going to rip this back edge? Get out of here. And then let's get some of that mid-tone. It's going to be glazing back the mid-tone, that coal black. Once again, check the thumb for dilution. Still pretty thick, but also very thin. Make sure we're controlling the paint. Smooth these transitions out. Oh, hey woo! Well, hey woo! Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome on in. How are you today? Here we're mixing just a little bit of our highlight color into some pure white. Well, it's an off-white, but Pascal was going to say, well, going to say bye, is going to set up for stream myself. Well, Pascal, we'll catch you down the line. Hopefully you're doing well. If anybody in here is not giving Pascal a follow, you should click that button. You know how to do it. No, Mike stream. Mike down, Pascal. Ancient secret. Be super, super persistent. Pascal says, cheers. Cheers back at you, Pascal. Catch you down the road, sir. Alright. Here we're just trying to super specifically get a nice highlight right on the tip of this elbow. It says no house cleaner coming over, girl working in the back. It is not useful to stream like that. Oh, there you go. Must be nice to have a cleaner, Pascal. Now once you get the blend ripped, then you can do the edge highlight, and it creates this funky illusion, right? But if you don't do the blend first, it's like, what's the point? And so you get this nice microscopic little look, but when we come back, we get like a pretty cool look, something you can see at a distance. Pascal's out for real. We'll see what for real is. All right. You can see we're starting to establish that here. But I think the thing of it is we need to establish it down the rest of these knuckles. It won't truly work. The other drawback to working with such a small amount of paint is it's going to dry out on you quickly. That's why the larger brushes are preferred. Certainly by me. You know, sometimes you watch legitimate pros and they all have differing opinions because, you know, they all learn how to make it work differently. I know Sam Lenz, watch him use such a small brush. He's so good. Alright, let's get that just like before. Make a nice glaze. Does anybody know the difference between a wash and a glaze? We can take these glazes and continue to apply them to certain areas and smooth out these transitions a little bit. Not too smooth. We got to get them to, they have to be somewhat stark. This is a gaming piece. We'll pan out. Now we got to work on the shoulder pad up here because the arm is looking quite a bit better. Sort of by comparison. So here we're in focus. We're going to start in this corner here. Let's see what we can get some paint down in here. Let's see. just roughly blending in these different transitions. Working more and more towards our highlight. Let's just try to in some way establish that highlight. We'll feather it out a little bit with our next darker tone. I don't think it's enough of a transition actually, so let's grab something a little bit bolder. It's a bit better. Let's see what our glaze looks like. A little bit dark, but not bad. Just wash this bag a little bit. Such an important thing to establish these just going to build out this little spherical highlight area here. It's not perfectly round, but I don't think we want it to be. And then we'll roughly start blending out the next ring. We got Midgard Painter coming in with a party of 3. Good morning, Midgard. How are you this day? Hopefully everybody's holding up all right. Have this established, and then damn it, I'm saying whoa. Don't mind this while I try to establish this highlight. This is a lot of back and forth right now. It says, hey, not bad. Super short stream today, but stomach was rumbling too much. A little too much rumble. Well, there you go. Well, thank you for thinking of me when your tummy starts rumbling. What were you working on today? Unless you're darting off for that food. And then go do that. Daniel, have you been blended lately? I haven't seen any blends out of you. Daniel says not recently. I'm disappointed. How much later? What are we talking here? Soon-ish. All right. Hashtag blend party. One of the more important aspects of this is that you need to have enough paint for it to blend. Otherwise it won't do the trick. You also in some ways need to be confident enough in where your highlights are going to insist that they go there. That is where I've run into trouble. It takes me a little bit of sketching back and forth to figure out where I want the colors to be, and then I can blend them out. Look at this. Alright, now let's have a look. I'm still a little bit stark. It's better. Look at Jack says, yo man, lurking a bit, just busy this morning. As all mornings go. Good day, Jax. I think it's time to start maybe on another portion. We got Mr. Hedgehogmon says, hello, looks like some Dark Angels. Yeah, I got a little Fallen Angel action going on here. How are you today? If you're familiar with Amped Services, Justin the Armed Painter, this is a piece commissioned by him for a community project he's working on. I figured we'll do our part. Fallen, huh? Oh boy. Fallen detected. Says, actually never seen anybody who plays them. Well, yeah, Justin might be the only one. Who's to say? Alright, we're going to start establishing these volumes. Coming in here with a little bit of black. I'm going to grab a bit of a brighter tone. Well, that was not nearly bright enough, huh? Let's try again. Try again! I suppose it's starting to do a thing. Let's try once more with something a little bit brighter. Just pushing wet paint around. Let's try one more time. Starting to establish. Let's grab just a little bit more of this white before all this dries, and we'll try one more time. Okay, we're starting to get a thing. We got the Iron Bandit rolling in. Says, what is this heresy before me? I think you know what kind of heresy this is. It's sad but true. Heretics abound. Alright, let's have it. Let's find those blends. We worked them up. Now we gotta work them down. Is that one of my fallen brothers? This is a piece that Amp Services sent over. Bit by bit, we're adding more and more black to the mix. Let's come at this from the other direction here. Stipple in this texture here. Fallen Angel has been detected by the bandit. Secretly, I think these are the only good ones in the whole bunch. Control over this. Let's see if we can Establish this highlight here. There it is. Be able to tidy this up. Right now it's just kind of like blocking in the colors a little bit. It's almost like then you can refine them, push them back, put them where you need them. Says, Iron Beta says, so I read a lot of lore. Gotta say, I do want to get a cipher one day and paint them all heretical. People seem to love Cypher. I don't think I understand exactly his background, if anybody wants to give me a rundown. And now we can start to refine the blends. If not one way, and then the other. Actually, kind of like this color is a nice base tone, so I'll start to fill in some of these other gaps up top. Iron Bandit says, from what I understand, he's a one-man show bouncing from place to place, actually doing good things, but is on his own agenda. That's what I thought too. I thought he was an alright dude. He's the only one truly trying to work for the good of the Emperor. Not the only one, but... more actual black to the mix. Bias says, I'm not paying close attention to the model you're painting for Justin's super secret army he is building. I mean, he's been pretty public about all of it, hasn't he? Like, people have definitely posted pictures of their models. Flash and Dash 2000. What is up? Good morning. Jack's hollering out with that. Alright, so now we very crudely shaped in that design there. Now we will come in with our next color, try to meet it. Actually get some paint on the brush. Flash and Dash asking how you're doing, Jex. Jex has been back and forth trying to get stuff done this morning. Trying to get those reps in, hopefully. As I just work myself kind of darker and darker here in tone. Value, we're sketching further and further towards the lower side of this piece of armor. We'll go brighter and brighter in terms of value here. A little bit brighter even yet as we get towards the peaks. Let's check our transition here. Close. That song has to die. Sorry, everybody. He's keeping them secret as a unit. Well, for bias, you're gonna see what's coming out of this channel. Nothing to be done about that. But we're coming in under cover of darkness. We're up painting fallen before the enemy. Let's see if we can't blend out this transition here. Creating illusions. See how quick that hand just came together like that? That's crazy. Jack says AFK, time to get that juicy pump on. They'll still be lurking. Oh, Doc Holiday with the happy little sword. Welcome on in, Doc. How are you today? It's kind of crazy how these things just don't work until they do. Let's see about this music. That's not my favorite one. What are we even trying to do here? Try and get a little transition piece going. Bring some actual shadow tone into this. Perfect. That's what happens when you use just way too much paint. Quick stipple. And how's that look? Motor City Ray hopping in here. Good morning, Ray. At the 7 o'clock hour. This is the only thing that stands between me and Ray's commission, so we're getting it done. This fallen, this little piece of heretical plastic, he will not see Monday morning. He will be done. I know I'm washed out today, but it has to be to get the model to show up the way that it is. I will have it corrected by Monday as well. Just going to paint very, very tiny little lines. Try to erase them back a little bit. Keep them super fine. So for the, we've been zoomed in here on this effect for a little bit, so let's take a step back, catch it at a distance. We're coming in all right. Something to consider. Get a little more water in this. We're going to glaze this back with a very little bit of our coal black, which is our bluish green color, but mostly black. And a lot of water. Let's see our dilution here. Check on my thumb. That's super strong. Let's try again. That's much better. Okay, let's come back in for a second. So what we're going to do with this actual black, so I'm going to start in the recesses, establish a shadow, but we're also going to be pulling it a little bit up the mid-tone. Granted, this is just a glaze. It's not going to do anything really to the color. A couple finger taps will feather it. The rest of this is far less refined, but it will still go a ways to tying things together. Just going to be stippling in little by little, feathering back, so on and so forth. allowing the black to establish itself in the recesses, but only kind of filter back the highlight. So we still want the armor to be black, but just kind of like on our own terms. Kind of like how white armor is mostly gray. I'll kind of use this as a light, like a dark lining effect here. See if we can't start to establish that a little bit. Actually, we'll take that previous wash that was so stark. We'll start to lay that down in here. Ray, how's your week been going, sir? Hopefully well. Ooh, smacking the microphone cable. That's cool. Very cool. All right. Now we're back here on the front side. Let's see how well we can attack this this shimmer. Ray says, eh. Doc Holiday says, the Ray says, nice hype train, sir. Ray is our hype conductor. I think he came in and smashed both of them. We only have one train, or one conductor instead of two. Ray says, I've had this nasty chest cold I can't shake. Dry coughs, no fever. It's not the Rona, but man, it's been a nagging pain. Yeah, I get nervous. All this antibacterial stuff has been getting sprayed, like seriously next level cleaning stuff, that we're not opening ourselves up to other things. We're going to actually punch this to the next level here. Get a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Doc with the spread and cash. Alright, so... just like before, we get that nice mid-tone with a little bit of black in it. For a wash, I'm just gonna glaze it back. Check that dilution. We're fairly thin. Dog says the oil chic of Detroit, Motor City Ray. He's the train baron. He's not the oil baron. Oh, Ray, that'd be a good title, the Rail Baron. Smooth these transitions out. Alright, so we're all up on these blends. You can see how rough they are, and then we go back and kapow! I think we got something that'll read on the tabletop for some sick armor. Ray says not quite. I think we will continue to establish our highlights. Let's drill back in on this. I think the lesson I've learned as I work through this black armor is that even though I want to have the coal black in as like a mid-tone, it's never straight. It has to be black. So we have to mix that black paint in at every turn, even when we're working our highlights. Otherwise, it just turns entirely to like bluish. Yeah, we're gonna have to turn him. Yeah, I think it's the only way I'm gonna be able to get in here and do any of this work. Ray says we've had to tighten our belt a bit, looking to purchase a new home like real soon. Oh. Hopefully for good reasons, Ray, and not something terrible. Terrible. Ray says I collect pop bottles for extra cash to give away. Oh my God. Just actually placed our third bid last night, so we'll see. Get a little bidding war going. That didn't get darker at all, did it? Doesn't seem like it did. I'm gonna bring in probably an embarrassing amount of black paint now. Then let's establish that highlight a little bit further. That looks good. Good and cheaty. Get even more highlight here. All right, let's they say here? I guess too many people home avoiding the Rona, looking for the same house as we are. Spending so much time in the house, they want to argue in a different home. Here we're just feathering this out so it doesn't look so darn stark. Sort of pushing our next tones into this one to some way feather it out. Just like that. I think we're starting to get a nice shiny boot. All right. Now let's bail out here and see what we got. I think we're starting to come together pretty nicely. Just gotta smooth a little bit here on the hand. Well, I hope things go well with that ray. Feeling pretty good about this armor here. It's such a smooth blend on the other hand. I feel like I gotta fix this one now. It's weak by proxy. Something I think could help out a lot be if I could actually establish this this leather strap. Actually, that brown's already out. I think a little bit of this. actually realizing that the brown I already had out is a bit dried up, so just smack the tripod with my head. Don't worry about that. Getting used to the new placement, I suppose. Alright, let's start to establish this leather. Gonna put a little bit of this darker brown down here in the recesses. Ah, there we go, that's better. Take this nice bold ochre here, and we're just gonna, that's way too much sort of moisture on the brush. Alright, where are we here? Let's try to get this to lay down in an opaque way. Very crudely start to place this. Got a little itchy nose here. Okay, not the time you want to be trying to establish a leather design. So let's come in on this. So we're just using this Baylor brown, just an ochre tone along the edges. Nothing super specific. I think that's the key. And just on either side, you can get like a really interesting effect doing this. Maybe a little bit extra over here on the highlighted area, where there might be quite a bit more wear on it. Okay. We can take our dark tone and just reestablish the center. I'm going to blade out my brush just a bit, and so to do that, we just smush it sideways. See how flat it gets. And we're just going to start with the stippling, but the other way. So now we're coming from the middle out. Nobody will likely look down here, but we'll know. While I have this paint on the brush, we'll just get a little bit more. We'll do the insides here real quick. sort of once more, but much more specifically. From the edges, perhaps every now and again, working one the whole way across isn't a bad thing. You can sort of either hit the edge or in some ways reach in and pull out with the brush from so that it deposits the most paint by the edge. That to me creates probably the best look. Push these highlights quite a bit here towards the edges where things would fray, chip away. Okay. Stipple in even more up here. It's a shame that this seems to be where I was most lazy with it. Let's give it a quick little bit of a redo up here. Get this established up top. Well, now we'll establish a bit of a wash here. We want this one to actually be quite a bit stronger than the other things we've been working with. We're going to actually stain back this leather. For a nice worn leather strap there. And with that, we do not have time to get into anything else. We're 2 minutes till our quit time. I suppose we should see who all's on. Yeah, Daniel's actually on. Let's go see Daniel. He hinted, but we never know what he's doing. Let's get this raid rolling. Hope everybody's had a good morning. Not that guy, says Ray. Well, Ray, it is Friday. Soon to be Saturday. So hopefully you have an enjoyable weekend. I hope everybody does. We're going to get off to Daniel's stream and Friday. Let's enjoy the peace, love, and positivity that we have going on right now. Yeah, I'll be on throughout the day. Hopefully everyone else is having a good one. And we'll see you on Monday at the latest. I might even be on Saturday evening. We'll see how that goes. But yeah. All right, let's get off to Daniel.